morning, everybody. This is Michelle with Creative Operation, and I'm here today to share a design team project that I did for Country Craft Creations. I'm going to be making a Christmas card keepsake album, and it's really super simple, but it has a really cute different page design that I wanted to share with you. So if you're a person like me that loves to go ahead and save your Christmas cards and keep them, look at them later on, then this is a really great project for you. And this project will hold all kinds of different sizes. It will even hold the letters that come with them and whatnot. So let's get kind of started. I'll go through the project here real quick, and then we'll start working on the tutorial. So it's a basic album format. I should say that I'm using the papers by Carta Bella called Hello Christmas. Now, the papers were left over from the design team project that I did for the Journey to the North Pole retreat, the virtual retreat that Country Craft Creations is having in the beginning of December. So that particular project for that retreat will be available if you have bought a ticket for your journey. But the leftovers here, I was able to use and share this project with everybody. So again, this is Carta Bella Hello Christmas. It's really a cute paper collection, and I just loved working with it. So on the cover here, I had this big wide red bow, and I thought it worked perfect with this. This was from my stash, and the flowers were all from my stash as well. I also had a glitter snowflake that I kind of cut apart, and I used pieces of it in and amongst the flowers, so I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. And then here, the cover, and you can see it better on the back, I use the technique that I do with a 6-inch wide piece to help cover the cover, so you can use one piece of paper and then use another piece of paper for the kind of faux wraparound spine look. So again, I was using leftovers from the other project, and I needed to conserve some paper a little bit, so that's one of the ways that you can do that. And then over the seam where the two papers join, I had this ribbon in my stash that I wrapped around there, and I've got a different technique that I'll show you today to do this as well. So it's really kind of cute. So it just closes with a simple bow. I did use the lay flat binding, and we'll go over that. And then in the front, so I used one full piece of cardstock to create a pocket in the front cover, so you could put large Christmas cards in here, letters that you get, the photos that some folks do. Instead of a card, you know, they get the photos printed out. This would be a good pocket to put those in. This particular page here is another pocket page. I did an angled pocket, and again, I was using leftover paper, so I didn't cover the inside of this, but you definitely could, and we will today on my project that I'm doing today. So anyway, there's another big pocket for large cards. Now I got to say, the pages itself are 7 wide by 9 inches tall. The album is 7.5 by 9.5, and then it has a 2.5-inch spine. So I'll let you know that too. So let's go back in here. This is just one of the cut apart pieces that were left over, so I just decided to throw those in the pocket. So I made this pocket, and then one of the cut aparts that were left over, I made a little tuck spot, because I thought if you had like little small gift cards or tags from gifts that you wanted to save, that would be a good place to do that. So the first page is this pocket page, and then you turn it over, and then there's another pocket page. This is one of the cut aparts that I just backed on some cardstock that I had left over. And I just simply decorated it with some of the leftover papers that were in there. Now here's the fun part here. So I made 2 string pages, so you can actually put your cards in. And let me show you what I mean by putting your cards in there. Let me grab, this is a Christmas card that I've just made recently. This is a standard, you know, 4 1/4 by 5.5 card. But this will definitely hold larger cards. And what this page does is you could put several cards in here and then kind of display them as a page. Now this is definitely meant for a larger card, but then when you turn this page over, there's some horizontal places where you can slip your card in and be able to display some cards that way and look at them instead of pulling them out of a pocket. So I'm gonna show you how I created those. Really super easy and really fun, and just kind of an interesting, different way of displaying some cards. This was a cut apart that I had left over, and I just backed on cardstock. And again, this is just to show how this works. You could put definitely several cards in one of these if you wanted to, but this page here will hold 8 for sure, and this page will hold 4. So again, this is meant for the larger cards, and then this is meant for like some smaller cards that you could put in here. So then the third page again is another pocket page, and let me grab one of these. This is again another tuck spot, so you could go ahead and you know, put some little small gift tags or whatever. Another pocket page back here. Okay, and then again, another page with vertical and then horizontal baker's twine so that you could display your cards. And then the back cover again is another pocket. So you can see this is a Christmas card keeper. This is not, you know, a photo album in the traditional sense, but you could definitely, the photos that you get as Christmas cards definitely go in here. So it makes a great, great keepsake for your thing. Another tuck spot here, I forgot to tell you that. So lots of places to put things, lots of places to put your cards. And on the front here, when I decorated it, I used one of the cut aparts as well, backed on cardstock, and that's where the ribbon goes on the front of the covers. So this is the project that we're going to make today, and since I just did the walkthrough, let's get the project that we're going to work on. Now I'm using this package, Echo Park's Warm and Cozy, for this particular tutorial. I got this from Country Craft Creations in their Echo Park, Carta Bella, what was it, the winter, was it the winter? Mystery box kind of thing that they had, or warehouse box, that's what it was called. It was a warehouse box. So this is what we're using today. And then I also received some of the coordinating solid cardstock. So I had some more papers to use for the album that we're going to do today. Okay, so let's get started. And let's work on the cover. Now the cover, I have several pieces here, and some of it I've already done. So I have chosen this ribbon from my stash. The colors in this are going to be blue and green, so it's going to work really well. And then for the strip, instead of using ribbon here, this particular warehouse box came with some really beautiful washi. So what I did was I put a strip of the washi on a 12-inch strip of white cardstock, and again I'm using the artisan cardstock, and then I put some score tape on the back of it, and we're going to use that instead of ribbon. So this was another idea that you could do. So definitely you could use ribbon here, and it is just adhered with score tape, and I'll show you how to do that. But I thought, well, let's use the washi tape and see what happens. Now I didn't use the washi tape by itself because I thought that because it's so thin that you would see kind of the line where the papers meet underneath it, and I didn't want that. And I also wanted to make sure that you could see the design, because sometimes these are a little see-through. So that's why I backed it on the white cardstock. So we're going to have that. So I already created my element for the front cover. So this is a 4x6 cut apart, and I just backed it with 2 leftover pieces of the coordinating cardstock that came with this kit. So the card keeper is going to be called Cozy and Warm. Let's see. These I don't need quite yet. So we have our pieces here, and then I'll show you, I did most of the front cover already. So we're going to wrap our chipboard, we're going to do the lay flat binding, and then I chose the papers here for the cover. And this front cover I went ahead and did. We're going to add this to the front, and we're going to put the ribbon underneath here, and then we'll join the whole thing together. So I already did that part. So what you're going to need for the covers, you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 7.5 by 9.5, and then you're going to need a piece of chipboard for the spine that's 2.5 by 9.5. The cardstock to cover everything, for the covers, you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 9.5 by 11.5, and then for the spine, to cover the spine, you'll need a 5.5 by 11.5. And then you will need 1 more piece of cardstock to cover the inside spine, and this is 5.5 by 9 3/8. And I will have this all written down in the descriptions too, because I know I kind of went a little bit fast. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's wrap the spine. So you're gonna need to, let's wrap the spine first because then it has time to dry. So we're gonna grab this spine part, and let me grab my bone folder that I like to use for this part here. So I already put score tape on the back, and I already had adhered it. Now this is designed so that, here's my 1/2-inch spacer here. When you put it in your scoreboard, let me show you. You'll lay your cardstock down, and then you'll use your 1.5-inch spacer, and then this is a 1/2 inch at, 1 inch at the top, and so that's how you put the placement. So if you lay your cardstock down, put your spacers down, and then put your chipboard onto your cardstock, then that gives you the perfect placement for it. So when I did the other cover, this is 1 inch all the way around. Okay, so that's how you do that. I use score tape on the back of my chipboard to adhere it to the cardstock. So then once you get that stuck down, then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of score down the edge of that cardstock to help, or the chipboard I should say, to help train the paper where you want it to go. All right, so I'm going to do that on all 4 sides, and when I'm done with that, then what I like to do is just kind of fold it and kind of, again, help train it a little bit more. Okay, fold it over. You want to make sure that this is burnished pretty well, and we will be doing this throughout the creation of this. Then grab your score tape, or no, excuse me, don't grab your score tape. We're not going to use score tape on this part. We're going to use our art glitter glue. Art glitter glue I get from Country Craft Creations. So we're going to fold the bottoms up. Okay, and then what you're going to do is, what I like to do is take my bone folder and run it down the side of my chipboard, and then use my fingernail and kind of hold it in place, and then make a crease. Now you're going to see, I know it's probably kind of hard to see, but it will fold it up a little bit, and there will be a slight angle on the 1/2-inch sides, and that's what you want, because we're going to want to make sure that this is wrapped around the chipboard really nice and tight. So then go ahead and go over to the other side, and again push it in towards the chipboard, and then hold it down with your fingernail, and then push it down, and then that will kind of fold that up. We're going to do that with both sides. So fold it. Okay, then go to the edge of the chipboard, and then crease it down, and again for the other side we're going to do that. All right, so there we go. So then once you do that, then I'm going to take a little bit of my art glitter glue, I'm going to put it on the edge here, a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on these parts here, because we're going to glue this down too. And I always forget to grab my little wipey here. I'm going to push that down, make sure it's stuck nice, and then we're going to grab our bone folder, and then we're going to make sure that that is glued down there as well. Okay? There we go. And then push that down there and burnish that down. Make sure that that is nice and glued. Okay? Okay. Then we'll turn it over, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to put a little bit of glue here where it's going to fold up, and across the bottom, and then put glue all on these bottom pieces here. Okay, so this is your spine piece. This is how you will, do this. The covers are definitely wrapped all the way around. So I did one already. I'll show you how to do the other one. Okay, so once you get this glued down, then we're just going to let it sit and dry. Okay, so we're going to get our second piece here, and again we have put it in our scoreboard. We have used our spacers, 1 inch on each side, okay, for the placement of the chipboard onto the cardstock. Okay, so this is how it looks when you put your cardstock in your scoreboard. Use your spacers, put your chipboard down, and then what we're going to do is I went ahead and already put the score tape on, and you're going to want to put score tape all the way around on the chipboard and on your cardstock. So then I'm going to flip it over, and again what I'm going to do, got some glue on that, I'm going to run down the sides of my chipboard again. Okay, just like we did on the spine. We're going to do that for this cover. Just like that, all 4 sides. But then this, the difference here is we're just going to wrap this all the way around, okay? So I'm just going to kind of fold that over. All right. Then, so now we're folded, okay? We got our score tape, and we're going to grab our scissors and we're going to miter the corners. And what I like to do is cut the corners off at about a 45-degree angle. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cover it with pattern paper, but you have to leave an inch. That's way too much. You have to leave about 1/8 of an inch between the corner of the chipboard and the cardstock. Okay, so don't cut it too close to the chipboard because we're going to use those little pieces to help cover the edges. All right, and it doesn't have to be a perfect 45 degrees. Again, because we're going to cover it with some pattern paper, so don't worry about that part. So once you get that done, then we'll take all of this off. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold, or actually what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a little bead of glue, and then I'm going to fold that over. And I'm sorry, I'm out of camera, something on my desk, and glue that down. And then my little mantra that I do, and I know you guys have heard this before, is top, bottom, side, side. So I do the top and the bottom first, and then I fold the sides in. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that little bead of glue at the edge, and then fold that over, make sure that's stuck down. So now here's where the tucking comes in. So we have a little bit of excess here. I'm going to take my fingernail. You could also take your bone folder and kind of run that in however you want to do it. I just find my fingernails work easier. And I'm going to just push those edges in from the sides. And what it does is kind of wraps around the corner of the chipboard. And I'm going to add my glue. And then I'm going to turn that over and fold it down. And then voila, your edges are nice and covered. So that's how I prefer to do my chipboard. Okay, so we'll do that, and then run that bead of glue here, and then push it down. All right, there we go. Make sure that's nice and stuck. All right, and then the other thing that I like to do is just take the flat edge of my bone folder and run it down the flat edge of the chipboard because I want a nice squared edge. Okay, that will also help the glue stick. And then I didn't do it to this one, but we should do that right there. Okay, so we have our chipboard back and the chipboard front. So the only difference is I've already put the papers on for this one, okay? But we will take care of that on this one. We're gonna put this all together. So let's put it all together. First thing we're gonna do is grab your spine, and we're just gonna angle this, miter this corner just a little bit. Now just be careful, don't go too close to the chipboard because you don't want to expose your chipboard. So just a little bit away, and then you're just gonna want to make a little sliver of a cut and just cut an angle, okay? So just make sure you don't get too close to the chipboard because otherwise you will expose it, okay? So do all 4. Just a little. They're already angled because of the way that we put it around the chipboard. So you don't need to take off too much, okay? So then grab your scoreboard, because we're going to use the flat edge to help us line this up, all right? So first thing we're going to do is put score tape on, and we're going to put it on these 1.5 inch kind of wings, but we're not going to go too close to the edge because we don't want the tape showing and we don't want glue showing, okay? So we're gonna just leave a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch space between our tape and the, you know, the score of where the cardstock is. I hope that makes sense. So we'll do that. And then the other thing I should do real quick is another thing to do is just really make sure that it's nice and burnished again, okay? Just make sure it's really nice because we're gonna lay our covers right on top of this, okay? All right, so grab this scoreboard. We're gonna take off our tape here. All right, I'm gonna lay this down and I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and flush with this bottom edge. That's why I'm using it. So the front cover is gonna go here, all right? So between our tape, I'm just gonna run a little bit of glue. And then I'm just gonna lay this down, making sure that it's nice and flush with the bottom. And I'm just gonna lay this down right to the edge of my spine, okay? And then stick it down. And I'll turn it over, and then I will make sure that it's nice and stuck. All right, so now we have the front cover onto our spine, and you can see it's gonna be a nice fold. There's not gonna be any tape showing, there's not gonna be any glue seeping out and sticking to your paper and ripping it. So that's what you want, okay? So same thing with the other side. So take off the tape. Okay, and then we'll run a bead of glue down that. And then we're gonna grab our second piece and we're going to stick it down flush. Just like that. Okay. So let's get rid of this. So basically we're using our scoreboard just to have a straight edge so that we can get everything lined up, okay? Perfect. All right, so there is our cover. So lay flat binding because when you open it up, it lays perfectly flat. You can also lay it flat this way too. We're gonna go ahead and cover the inside spine here. And I did not use any of my score tape on here, but I'm going to do that really quick and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So this is the inner cardstock that's going to cover the inner part of the spine, and I went ahead and put some score tape on the back of it, so I should have done that. But I didn't. I missed it when I was prepping. So we're going to go ahead and put this down. Now again, this piece right here is 5.5 by 9 3/8, and we're just going to put that right over the spine, and it should kind of cover up. I'm going to turn it sideways so I can see. It should pretty much cover up the mechanism for the spine. So we're going to just lay that down there, okay? And once we get that laid down there, make sure that it's nice and pressed down. Okay, and then grab your bone folder again, and then you're going to want to score where the spine's going to fold. So just lift it up very gently, and then push it down and crease it with your bone folder. And again, do that on the other side. So just fold it ever so gently to find that space. Push that down. All right, and then we're going to just fold it. There we go. All right. There you go. So now your There you go. Now your cover is done, okay? So then, to cover the rest of this, so we got our other piece of paper here. So this piece is 9 3/8 by 6. So this was an entire 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I just cut it at 9 3/8 and then cut it down by 6, okay? And we're gonna glue it here. I did ink these papers, ink the edges. I used a little bit of Tim Holtz Distress ink, but just a little bit. I just did the edges, really. I didn't really do a whole lot of distressing, just enough to take the white edge off. Okay, so lay that down on the edge, okay? All right. And then the spine pieces that I chose right here, so they're all, you know, kind of one piece of paper that I just chopped up, so they will be continuous here. So these are 2 inches by 9 3/8. This is 2 3/8 wide by 9 3/8, and this one again here was another 2-inch wide piece. So we're just gonna lay those down. Oh, you know what I did? Oh, shoot. You know what I did? Oh, we gotta fix this. Good gravy. I didn't put the closure down. Let's see if I can sneak it under there before the glue dries. Oh my goodness. Oh, I hate it when I do that. Okay, so don't do this at home, guys. You should have already put your ribbon in there. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can fix this. I will be right back. I fixed my boo-boo. Excuse me. So, I have this Cricut tool that you're supposed to use to help take your die cut pieces off of the sticky, you know, mat that you put in the machine. It works really well for trying to untuck things when you need to, and so that's what I did. So I untucked it and I put this in there, and then I was able to squeeze the glue in there and glue it down. So I was able to fix it, but let's backtrack and make sure that you know that you really should put your ribbon down first and then cover it with your pattern paper, okay? I didn't do it on the front because the ribbon's gonna go underneath the decorative element that I created. So that's where I got myself a little messed up. So just be aware that we need to do that. So it is in between the chipboard backing and your cover, okay? So once you do that, get that done, then we're just gonna glue these pieces down. Okay. I get so excited sometimes when I'm making these tutorials, and then I just kind of, you know, go a little too fast, and my brain is not caught up to what I'm doing. So there you go. So then we'll do the spine. All right. Really pretty papers. I really liked these papers. They're just really pretty. My favorite colors are blue and green too, so it really was a no-brainer to choose this to make my next card keeper. So the card keeper here would also be like super cute if you did it in birthday papers, to collect your birthday cards, baby's first birthday kind of thing. It'd be fun. All right, so here's my strip of washi tape. I put it on a piece of white cardstock. I put 2 strips of score tape, and you know, it'll depend on how wide your washi is, but this washi was a little bit, about 5/8 inch wide, was it? Yeah, little bit, just a tad under 5/8 inch wide. But I put it on the white cardstock again so that you wouldn't be able to see through it, so it would kind of make it so that you wouldn't see the papers underneath it, and it would also help to cover the edge as far as the washi tape's so thin that you would be able to see and feel the edge. So I wanted to do that. So what we're gonna do is grab my ruler here, and from the edge of the chipboard, okay, was about 1 3/4 inch. So that's where we're gonna lay down our tape. So easiest way to do this, actually, that's not it. I'm gonna use my grid I'm going to put the edge of the chipboard here. Let's do it this way. I'm going to put the edge of the chipboard so that it is on a black line here, okay? And then I'm going to take the score tape off of this washi strip, and I want the edge of the washi strip right here to be 1 3/4 inch from the edge, okay? So I'm just going to look at my grid here. There's 1 3/4 here, and this is 12 inches. I want it to overlap a little bit. So I'm going to lay this down, and I'm just going to match the lines on my grid, and that will make it nice and straight. Okay. And the score tape will be nice and strong. Then I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to wrap it around and stick it down. Okay. There we go. And then that will be nice. That will be nice, pretty decorative element. So you have now this really pretty strip of the washi that coordinates with this whole thing. So now if you wanted to use ribbon, just grab a 12-inch piece of ribbon, put score tape on the ribbon, do the same thing. So you could do that as well. You could use just a separate piece of paper. I wanted to use the washi. I thought the washi was really, really pretty. So we did that. Okay, so let's look at the inside covers here real quick. So we're going to cover this whole thing up, and then we'll be done with this. So we're going to create pockets. Now in my actual project here, the design team project, I used a piece of artisan cardstock because I didn't have a lot of pattern paper, okay? So I put it down. I'm going to create the pockets the exact same way, but then I just had to cut pattern paper to cover the pocket. And I didn't have enough to cover the back of the pocket. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to actually use a piece of pattern paper that's double-sided to make the actual pocket. So it will be covered once you're done. The only thing you have to worry about is you need to have the back side of it be non-directional so that when you fold it up, it won't matter what the bottom pocket looks like. It won't, you know, the pattern won't matter, okay? So like, for example, this one here has a direction on the front, but on the back, it really doesn't. So it's gonna work out just perfect, okay? So the first one I already made. We're gonna make the second one here. So let's do that. Let's grab our scoreboard, and you, again, can use artisan cardstock, and then you can go ahead and cover it with pattern paper. If you want to use pattern paper, then it's kind of one and done. The dimensions will be the same, whether you're going to use a full piece of pattern paper or whether you use your cardstock, okay? So grab your paper, and let's see, let me find my other bone folder. There it is. And this piece of paper right here is going to measure 8 3/8 inch wide by 12, okay? Whether it's pattern paper or cardstock. 8 3/8 inch wide by 12, okay? We're going to score it in just a couple places. So we're going to put it in 8 3/8 at the top, and we're going to score it at half, and then we're going to turn it and score it at half again, okay? So half on each side, all right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to put it on the 12, and you're going to score it at 9 3/8, okay? And on this one, because it is pattern paper, and you'll see I did a little inking already, you want to turn it over actually and score it again, because we're going to fold it and it's pattern paper. It's not as thick as the artisan cardstock, so we want to make sure that we do the scoring properly for this. Then what we're going to do is grab your scissors, and we're going to miter all of these points here, and we're going to leave the 1/2 inch tabs. We're going to use those and help strengthen the pocket. Okay, so I'm going to miter all of the corners, and including where the score is that we did at 9 3/8. Okay, we'll take those off, and then what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is turn it over, and we're going to fold these 1/2 inch flaps back, and then I'm going to run a bead of glue and fold that down, and then that's just going to kind of help reinforce that edge and make a nice folded edge. It'll look really nice. Now, if you're using artisan cardstock, you can just cut this piece off. You don't necessarily have to do that if you're using cardstock. But since I'm using the pattern paper, I chose to leave it on and fold it back just to give it a little bit more strength and give it a pretty edge. Okay, so that's going to be the back of our pocket. This piece here is going to fold up, and that's going to create our pocket. So then you guessed it, we're going to fold those in, and that's going to be our tabs to finish the sides of our pockets. So we're going to glue those down just like that. So put a little glue on these tabs. Okay. There we go. And our pocket is complete. Then I'm going to just do a little bit more inking on the edge. Just the edge, just a little bit, not too much. Okay, there we go. Oh, let's do the sides here. There we go. Just a little bit. Okay. So then let's grab our book, and then we're just going to glue them down. That's pretty basic. So that covers up the whole inside and gives us the pockets. Okay? So grab our art glitter glue. Turn that around. You know what? I'm going to snip that little corner off because it's going to bug me if I don't. And then just lay this down, and that will cover the back piece of your spine, the back cover of your book. That's what I should say. All right. And give you an awesome pocket to put oversized cards and letters in for your Christmas card book. There we go. And then this one here, same thing. Put the glue down. So we're going to make 2 of those. And again, these 1/2-inch tabs along the whole page here, you don't have to do if you're doing artisan cardstock. So you could totally do this with artisan cardstock and then just cover it with pattern paper if you wanted to. You know, whatever you choose to do. I just thought it would be pretty, and since I did have the extra paper from the collection, I thought, well, I'll use it. Okay. There we go. Okay, I did not put pattern paper down the spine because I have strips that'll go in between the pages, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to take this and put this off to the side for now. And then let's grab our pages. So we're going to make 2 pocket pages and 2 of the tie pages. So let's grab the pocket page pieces here. And so the pocket pages are going to have a diagonal pocket on the front, and then they're going to have a horizontal pocket on the back. Okay, really basic. So I made that one. We'll make the second one. So for that, you will need a piece of 12 by 12 paper. And we're going to grab our scoreboard, and we're going to score in a couple spots. So 12 by 12, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 7.5. So 1/2 and 7.5, and then turn it. And then we're going to score at 9. Okay, that's all the scoring that you're going to have to do. So then we will grab our scissors. We're going to do a few little cuts here. So the first thing we're going to do is this corner rectangle here we're going to cut out. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut about 1/2 inch away from the scores. Okay, we're going to create tabs for the pockets. So I'm just going to go about 1/2 inch from the score line and cut it up to about 1/2 inch from the score line at the top. Turn it and then cut down about 1/2 inch from the score. Okay, and then that piece we'll throw away, or, you know, save for another day. And then we're going to just go up to where the scores meet, okay? Then what we're going to do is miter these corners, and then what this does is this creates a tab for our horizontal pocket on this side, and it creates the bottom tab for our vertical pocket, okay? So then we will score here. And well, miter here, I should say, miter there. And then we're going to cut this one straight because this is what's going to bind it to the book. So we want to keep that 1/2 inch on the side straight, okay? So we have our tabs for our horizontal pocket here, and we have a tab for our vertical pocket here, okay? So let's fold and burnish. So this one's going to go to the front, okay? And we'll fold that up because that will create the bottom. And then, so that's going to go to the front. The back page here, we'll fold this tab in and this tab in. Okay, fold that up. And that's going to create that pocket. All right, just like that. Now, I did not use pattern paper for this because it wouldn't be sturdy as far as the page goes. For the pocket that's adhered completely to the back of the album, I thought the pattern paper would be sturdy enough, but not for the pages. So I do recommend that you use artisan cardstock for this. Okay, here's our 1/2 inch tab that is going to adhere it to the book, so we can fold and burnish that one as well. Okay, now before we glue anything down, we need to cut this pocket. So I measured 4 inches down from here, and then I just angled it up to the score. So I'm going to grab my ruler and my pencil, and I'm going to measure 4 inches from the corner. And then I'm going to just draw a line from the score here to my pencil mark. Okay, and then we're just going to cut that off. Easy peasy. So 4 inches down. All right. So now we can glue everything down. So we'll just go ahead and grab our glue, put it on this tab here, fold it over. All right. Then we'll turn our pocket over. Put glue on our tabs here and fold those up. Okay, so we have that. And then I have my pattern papers here. So here I cut this piece of paper for the angled pocket, and then this is going to go behind the pocket. So let's do that really quick. We'll put this piece of paper down. These pages are 7 by 9, so this piece of paper that I'm going to put down in the pocket is one of the coordinating cardstocks that came with this collection, and it is cut at, I did that a little bit wonky. It's cut at 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. I don't know why I did it that way. Oh well. There is an easier way to do it. Ah, gosh. Okay, there we go. Okay, so our pattern paper is down. So then you're going to need a piece of paper that's going to cover the pocket. So you're going to cut this paper at 8 3/4 by 4 3/8, and then we're going to cut a diagonal to fit the pocket. Okay, so like a 1/16 of an inch less than 3 7/8. So we're going to measure like 3 7/8, and then just nudge it just a little bit, and then cut that. Okay, so let me see if this makes sense. So grab your ruler, and I'm going to put it to the edge of this, and I'm going to find 3 7/8, and then I'm going to go right in between there. So like a 1/16 of an inch in. So right in between 3 3/4 and 3 7/8. Okay, and make a little tick mark, and then from that corner, draw my little pencil mark here, and we're going to cut that off, and then that will make this fit perfect onto the pocket. If I can see my pencil mark, I drew it really, really light. There we go. All right, so this should make the diagonal that we need. And I cut it a little bit long. Did I cut it a little bit long? Oh yeah, I did. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I cut it a little bit long, but there you go. Okay, so cut it at 8 3/4 by 4 3/8, and then you're going to want to measure down the side at right in between 3 3/4 and 3 7/8. So that would be at 13/16. Okay, and then just draw the angle, cut it, and there you go. We'll grab our glue. Oh, and I'm going to ink this edge since I did cut this edge and I inked the other edges. All right. Lay that down. All right. There's our big pocket, okay? So next pocket, we're going to just grab our pieces of paper here and cover that up. All right, so put that in there. There we go. All right. All right, and then I talked about the easier way to do this. So if you're gonna put pattern paper down, you can cover up the tabs from where your pockets attach, and then that will help so things don't get stuck on them as you're putting them in and out of pockets. So you can put it in the pocket, line it up to where you want, lift it up gently, and then put the glue down instead of trying to glue the paper and then stuff it in there like I did the last time. It can be done, but it's a lot easier to do it this way, that's for sure. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, so this pocket is done. So now we have our 2 pockets and we can decorate those however we want. So then we're going to work on our string pages. Now the string pages are super cool. Again, for horizontal or big cards, we're going to do the vertical strings, and for smaller cards, we'll do the horizontal strings. And this kind of reminded me of doing the, the lacing cards when you were a kid. Kind of like that. So you need 2 pieces of paper, and each of these are going to be, let me make sure I've got that correct, 7.5 by 9. All right, and then you will need 2 pieces of paper that are, again, 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. So you'll need your 2 pieces of pattern paper. So I also, what I did was I made some patterns, and I'll show you my patterns here. So I just took a piece of paper, scrap paper, the same size as my pattern paper, and I punched holes. Okay, so I went down my little grid here. I took my ruler and I marked down about every 1/2 inch, and I did it 8 times. And then what I did was I folded my paper over and then I punched the holes so they would be even. Okay, so I did that on, so this is my practice one, and you can see I wrote no on the big holes. So I'll tell you something, I used my Crocodile, and originally I was going to put eyelets in here, and then I was like, that's going to be a ton of eyelets. I didn't have enough, and then I thought they would be too bumpy and not adhere well to the page. So what I did do was I used my smaller hole of my Crocodile, the really small one, and punched the holes there, and then we're just going to leave them without an eyelet, and it worked just fine. So and it laid flat to the page, which adhered everything really well. So it's going to work out just fine. So again, what I did was I punched 4 holes, 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch apart. Okay, and then I just folded them over, and then when I punched the holes, then I did it to make it even. And then this is going to be my template. All right, so I'm going to need to decide which one's which, and I guess it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to use the one that's not the no holes, the larger holes. I'm going to use the smaller holes, and then I'm going to put this on here And I'm going to paper clip it down so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to punch my 4 holes, okay? So I will do that for this, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other piece of paper, and we're going to fast forward through all of this, and then I will be right back, okay? Okay, so we're done with punching our holes, and then I'm just going to take my distress ink pen and I'm just going to run those into the holes just to kind of distress the edges, because otherwise they're going to show the white paper. And since I inked everything else, I don't really want to see the white paper, so I'm just going to run that under, or you know, in the holes and just darken the edges up a little bit. And then we will get to lacing. And then our book will pretty much be done, except for putting the pages in. So, all right, so do that to both of these. Okay, all right, so that's a quick little hint and tip. Okay, so then I chose this green. And let's start with the long one first. And I'm going to get rid of this because it's bugging me. And we'll start with the long one first. Okay, so I got a needle that has a nice wide eyelet, so I can do this. And then how I measured this is I put my string down a little bit extra, put it down the page. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Give myself a little extra room and then cut it. I want to make sure I have enough to do this. And then grab my needle and thread my needle. All right. And then what I'm going to do is from the back side, we'll put the needle through the first hole. Okay. Whoop. Not all the way through the first hole though. Okay. And then turn it over and grab your score tape. Oh, my desk always gets to be such a mess when I'm crafting. All right, I'm gonna put a little piece of score tape down. I'm gonna put some of this baker's twine down, and then I'm gonna cover it up again with another piece of score tape. And that will help secure it to get it started, okay? So then, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna go down this hole. All right, so there's my first string. Then I'm going to go up the next hole. Not wrap it around my crocodile. Okay, so basically what I've done was I've come up through this hole, down through this hole, and then I came back up through the next hole. Okay, so you can see on the back, that's what it should look like. All right, so then go back down that hole and up through the next. All right, and so on. And that's how you thread your paper. Okay, up through the next, and then down through the last hole. All right, so you don't want these too loose because we do definitely want the cards to have a little stability on the page. So you want to make sure you try and pull it tight, and it actually, you know, you can kind of actually bend the paper just a little bit. That's okay, because when you glue it down, it will lay down flat and the strings will be nice and tight, the twine. So anyways, you want to just pull it just a little bit tight, turn it over, lay it down, make sure it's nice and tight, okay? And then I'm holding it with one hand, and I'm going to get my score tape, if I can find the end, and I'm going to put that score tape down so that I can secure that end, just like that, okay? And then I can let it go, and then pop down another piece. Cut off my excess. Those scissors need to be sharpened. They work great for paper, but they're not really great on ribbon and twine and stuff. Okay, so it is a little bumpy. That's okay. So then what I did was I put another little piece of score tape over each of these pieces on the back, just to kind of help secure it even more. All right. And then this is going to sit right on the front of the page, just like that. Okay, we're going to glue it down. Okay, so this will be the front of this page. All right, so take off my score tape here. We're going to use the same technique for the other page, but we're going to kind of stop halfway and help secure things down because there's 8 strands basically instead of 4. So I'm going to get right in between, put some glue down. Right in between those. Okay. I'm going to turn this over, and then ever so carefully, I'm going to put this down, making sure that it's centered. Okay. And it will lay down nice and flat. So it will fold up just a wee bit. When we put the other piece down on the back side, it will flatten out. I promise it will. This is nice and straight, okay? I know it doesn't look like it, but it will. But then you also, you really want to have these kind of as tight as you can get them without ripping the paper too, okay? So now let's do the other side. So again, let's measure our twine. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to do this 8 times because we have 8 holes. So there's that. So 1, 2, 3. This is real scientific, isn't it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. You could do this individually, and to be honest, that's how I did it on my first project when I was working this out, and it worked just fine. It was a little more fiddly because you had 8 separate pieces that you had to deal with. So, you know, however you want to do it, but I found this to work out pretty good. All right, so pulling my string all the way through, and we're going to anchor it just like we did before. All right. There we go. Another little piece of score tape here. All right, don't take that off yet. Make sure that's nice and stuck. And then we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to go down and then come back up through. Whoop. All right, go down, come up through. All right, we'll do this for the first 4, and then I stopped and anchored things down. All right, so once I got half of them done, the first 4, okay, make sure they're nice, a little bit on the tight side. Hold that down, and then you can anchor it by doing a little score tape on the back side. Okay, that'll help hold things in place, and then we can continue on. All right. Oh, I keep wrapping it. You know, I should know better than this. Oh, okay. And I won't go into detail why, but I should. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to keep this video not too super long, you know. All right. Okay, down the last hole. And then, so I had a lot of extra string, which is fine because, you know, you don't want to have too little, that's for sure. All right, so it's going to lay down nice and flat. Okay. Pulling it a little bit on the tight side, turn it over, grab your score tape. We'll anchor it. There we go. And then let me grab my different scissors for this. There we go. That worked much better. All right, then we can go ahead and I anchored those down, help keep them in place. Score tape, and then take off. Is that one? Take off your score tape. All right. Get your art glitter glue. And don't worry if it's tinted up a little bit, it's okay. It will lay flat, I promise. You don't want them too loose. They won't hold your cards nicely. Okay. So grab our glue and our page, turn it over, and we're going to lay this down right on top. There we go. All right. Isn't that cute? There you go. So we did not fold that down, so let's do that. All right, here we go. All right, so there's your page. So you have your 4 here and you have these here. Now you definitely, if you're doing this, you could add as many pages as you wanted. You can do them all vertical, you could do them all horizontal, however you want to do it, okay? So our pages are done. Our pockets are done. So let's grab our book. Let's put them in the book. So I'm going to open this up, grab these out of the way. So I alternated them. I did a pocket page and then a string page, pocket page, string page. Started a 1/2 inch in. So I'm going to grab my pencil, my ruler, and on the inside spine, right at the edge there, I'm just going to line that up at 1/2 inch. And I'm going to draw a light pencil mark, and that's going to help me with the placement of my book. Then I'm going to grab my first page, my tab. I'm going to fold that down and just glue these down like we always do. So I think I've had way too much caffeine today. I'm going to center them so they're going to be about 1/4 inch from the top and the bottom, and I'm going to line it right up at that 1/2 inch line and make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, and then press that down. Okay, and then after that first placement, then everything else just kind of follows. So I put the first page down. Just make sure how you want your next pages, however it's most pleasing to you. I think I like that. So I'm just going to fold that down, put the glue. Okay. I'm going to place that right to the edge of the first page, the 1/2 inch mark where the tab connects. Okay, that'll be nice and lined up. And I'm going to do my pocket page. Ooh, time to renew or refill my glue. All right, lay that down again, right to the tab there. All right, so here's where I do things a little bit different. So instead of laying this down again, just like that, I turn the tab, because otherwise you see the tab on the spine and I don't like that. So I'm going to turn this last page, whichever page you decide to be last, I'm going to turn it the opposite direction, and I'm going to glue it directly on this 1/2 tab, so that when you turn the page, you don't see a tab, you just see the nice spine. Okay, so I'm going to do that backwards. I do that with all of my last pages, actually. Just because I think it makes for a nicer finish. And also, if you put pattern paper on your spine, then you don't cover that up. So I'm just going to put this right over the tab of that last page that we added. Okay? Make sure that's nice and straight, like so. And there you go. So we have our pages in. Okay, perfect. So then the only other little doodad that I have, I'm going to put this down. So I have 3 pieces of, let's see, which do I like better? I think I like the plaid. We're going to put those on the spines right in the middle. And then that will decorate the tabs that we attached our pages with. All right, and then the only other thing to do is the front cover. So let's do that super quick. And then you guys, I'll finish decorating and then I'll show pictures. Obviously, you've already seen them because they will be in pictures at the beginning of the video. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Oh gosh, I love the colors on this. Absolutely gorgeous. Blue and green are my favorites. So yeah, this was beautiful. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have that. Cool. There we go. So let's work on the front cover. I'm just going to open this up so I can lay it flat. All right. So we have our cover piece. So this is, again, a 4x6 cut apart that I backed on some cardstock from the collection that I had left over. And that's basically going to sit right in the middle. And we're going to have our ribbon coming out from behind. So this time we're going to do it right. And I'm going to put some score tape down to help adhere the ribbon. So I'm going to put it on the right side, right in the middle. And in order to help the placement of it, I'll go ahead and grab my centering ruler. There we go. And put that right in the middle here. And then, oops, and not move it. Okay, so right about there. Okay, stick that down. And put a little bit there. And then grab my glue. All right, and then some on the ribbon too. And actually, I fibbed. Let's go ahead and make the book flat, flat. So we're gonna make it flat, flat, because what we're gonna do is I'm gonna stand up here. I'm probably gonna get in your way, but I'm gonna just kind of try and make sure that the ribbons line up so that they're, you know, so I make sure, just in case you're off a little bit, I want them kind of, you know, to match. I don't want the ribbon to be wonky, so it looks like that's really good. So then just lay her down and glue her down. Okay, and then there you go. Then all there's left to do is decorate to your heart's content. You can use, make little pockets on these big pockets here. You could put all kinds of pretties on the pockets, but this is your book. I would not embellish these pages because you're going to fill those with cards. So the string pages I would leave empty, but the rest of it, the pockets down here, the pockets here, you could even put photo mats back here and put photo pictures up here if you wanted to. But here is your book. Okay, so this is the tutorial for the Christmas card keeper. So here is the one that I did using, they're both papers from Country Craft Creations, that's for sure. This one here came in the Echo Park warehouse box, and this is Carta Bella's Hello Christmas. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it made sense. I'm sorry for, you know, the couple little flubs, but hey, that's how we learn, right? I showed you how to fix them, I think. So anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. For those of you who are in the Journey to the North Pole virtual retreat that we're having, you'll see another project that I'm doing using the Carta Bella Hello Christmas papers. And again, this was Echo Park's Warm and Cozy collection that we made this one with. So thanks again for watching. Have a really, really awesome day and a fabulous Thanksgiving. Please stay safe and healthy and well. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.